welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives the Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, who handed him an invitation from his Egyptian counterpart, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, receives the Chief Executive Officer of the American company Occidental Petroleum Corporation, Oxy, Vicky Holub, at the Presidency of the Republic. The proceedings of the Algerian-Egyptian Business Forum kicks off in the capital Algiers under the co-chairmanship of Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman and his Egyptian counterpart Mustafa Madbouli. And more gold medals for Algeria, which ranks so far third in the overall standing of the Mediterranean Games 2022 being held in Iran. Good evening, those were today's top stories. First, in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received on Thursday the Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, who handed him an invitation from his Egyptian counterpart, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which he accepted, an invitation to attend the summit of world leaders of the 27th Conference of the parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, scheduled for the 7th and 8th of November in Sharm el-Sheikh. Hailing the bilateral relations between the two brotherly peoples, the President of the Republic expressed his wish to further promote them to a higher level, in line with the common history of the Arab struggle and the will of the leaders of both countries in the context of the current challenges that requires closing of the ranks, notably ahead of the Arab Summit due to be held in Algeria on November 1st. The audience was attended by the Prime Minister, the Private Secretary of the Presidency, the Industry Minister, the Algerian Ambassador to Egypt. On the Egyptian side, there was the Minister of the International Cooperation, the spokesman of the Prime Minister's office, as well as the Egyptian Ambassador to Algeria. On Thursday, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received the Chief Executive Officer of Oxy, the American company Occidental Petroleum Corporation, Vicky Holub. The meeting took place at the Presidency of the Republic in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency, Abdelaziz Khalaf, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, as well as the Chairman and CEO of the National Oil and Gas Company, Sonatrach, Toufiq Hakkar. Following the audience, Vicky Holub made the following statement to the press.
I say that as CEO and President of Occidental Petroleum, we are honored to be able to be here today and to meet with the President, the Minister of Energy, the CEO of Sonatrach, and to talk about our future here in Algeria. We're excited to be here. This is a country with incredible resources, and we're happy to be a part of helping to develop those resources and to extend our time here in the country. So I also want to say that I very much appreciate and respect what the President and the Minister and the CEO have done to ensure that the petroleum development here in the country continues at a very efficient pace.
The proceedings of the Algerian-Egyptian Business Forum, which brought together Algerian and Egyptian investors, kicked off in Algiers under the co-chairmanship of Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman and his Egyptian counterpart Mustafa Madbouli. More details with Manal Ammari.
This high-level meeting that brings together businessmen and economic operators of the two countries in a global context that requires joint efforts to face the various economic challenges. It is a real bond in the Algerian-Egyptian partnership process, characterized by the common will to establish strong economic and commercial relations in various areas, encouraged by the new investment law that favors an attractive business climate.
The Algerian government aims to improve the business climate with the introduction of the new investment law that broadens partnerships to Egyptian businessmen in all sectors. We maintained very strong historic partnerships with Egypt, as it is one of Algeria's most important Arab partners in terms of investment and commercial exchanges volumes. The new investment law, soon to be published on the official Gazette, will support businessmen and foreign companies in terms of profit transfers. It enshrines freedom of investment and ensures equity among investors.
The two parties discussed partnership opportunities in various fields, namely energy, renewable energies, mines, industry, housing, as well as tourism, that offer undeniable investment prospects.
This forum is a tool to concretize various joint projects. We aim for the promotion of partnerships between the two countries and increasing the volume of joint investments and commercial exchanges. We also encourage the private sector in both countries to launch mutually beneficial joint investments.
Algerian and Egyptian businessmen expressed their will to concretize joint investment projects in many fields.
We are here to explore the possibility to launch an industrial project with an Algerian partner. Our goal is to integrate the Egyptian market and intensify our trade, namely the acquisition of raw materials.
Under the slogan Algeria, Egypt, a story and common denominators at the service of a promising economic cooperation. This forum showcases the will of both countries to establish a strategic and sustainable partnership.
The Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli wound up his visit to Algeria. He was seen off at the Houari Boumediene International Airport by Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, as well as other members of the government. In the parliamentary activity, the members of the Council of the Nation adopted on Thursday the amendment project related to labor relations, allowing workers to benefit from a one-year unpaid leave to set up his or her own company. The voting on this amendment project took place during a plenary session chaired by the President of the Council of the Nation, Salah Goujil, in the presence of the Labor Minister, Youssef Sharfa, as well as the Minister Delegate in charge of relations with the Parliament, Basma Azwar. Always with the parliamentary activity, the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, took part on Thursday at the head of two parliamentary chambers in the proceedings of the Congress of the Parliamentary Network of the Non-Aligned Movement being held in Baku in Azerbaijan. Boughali proposed on the occasion the creation of a diplomatic body which promotes dialogue and mediation in the times of crisis. The President of the National People's Assembly called on to end colonizations and settle disputes peacefully. And on the sidelines of the proceedings of the Congress of the Parliamentary Network of the Non-Aligned Movement being held in Baku in Azerbaijan, the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, held talks with his counterpart, the Speaker of South African Parliament. The meeting was an opportunity for both parties to reiterate the friendship relations and the mutual respect existing between the two countries. Later on, Ibrahim Boughali held discussions with the Speaker of the Turkish Parliament on the historical bilateral relations existing between the two countries, as well as on the bilateral cooperation and the ways to promote them, notably at the parliamentary level. In other news, the Prince of Monaco, Albert II, ended his two-day visit to Oran province. On his departure, the prince was greeted on the Ahmed bin Bella International Airport by the Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamra, the advisor to the President of the Republic in charge of Foreign Relations Abdelhafid Allahum, and the Algerian ambassador to France, Antar Daoud. The Prince of Monaco, Albert II, attended a few competitions of the Mediterranean Games of Oran 2022. At his departure, Prince Albert II of Monaco expressed to the Foreign Minister his thanks to the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, for his invitation. He also congratulated the Algerian government and people for the successful organization of the Mediterranean Games. In other news, the Assia Jabbar Grand Novel Prize witnessed the participation of 158 novels from 51 publishing houses. A short list was made that included 5 works in Arabic, 3 in Amazigh, and 5 in French. The first winner of the Assia Jabbar Grand Novel Prize in Arabic was Abdullah Karoum. The Amazigh language winner was Mohammed Ekli Salhi, and finally the French language award was won by Mohammed Abdullah. Moving on to the energy sector, and according to the Minister of Energy, who participated in the 30th ministerial meeting of the oil exporting countries and their allies organization OPEC+, Algeria will increase its daily petroleum production by 16,000 barrels starting from next August. The Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohammed Arqab, received the Chief Executive Officer of the American company Occidental Petroleum Corporation, Vicky Holub, in the presence of the Sonatrach CEO, Tawfiq Hakkar. The talks focused on examining bilateral relations between the two companies, as well as the ways and the means of further developing them, notably in the field of research of hydrocarbons, the development of deposits, and the production and transportation of natural gas. The two parties also discussed the prospects of joint cooperation. For his part, the Public Works Minister Canal received on Thursday the Nigerian Equipment Minister Kadu Sabo Mukhtar. The two ministers discussed on the occasion ways to develop trade exchange and joint projects between the two countries, and to make the Trans-Saharan Road an economic corridor and a trade bridge for the 6 member countries. In another development, the Education Minister, accompanied by a delegation, took part in the summit held at the UNESCO premises in the French capital Paris to review the different changes that took place in the sector. The details with Melissa Kubash.
The National Education Minister Abdel Hakim Belabed took part in the summit held under the motto "The Ambition on Transformation of Education," with the aim of boosting the field and present the Algerian experience.
The summit evoked Africa's history alongside a number of suggestions related to the educational sector, so as to apply them in the field as well as that of higher education.
The strategy adopted during the coronavirus pandemic by the Algerian government in the education field was at the heart of the talks held between the Education Minister and the Deputy Director General of the UNESCO in charge of the educational sector, Stefania Janis.
The strategy was characterized by the application of preventive measures during the pandemic, the availability of the vaccine at the national level, as well as ensuring the continuation of the educational curriculum via video conference.